Hello. Today I want to talk about the terminology in the English language that we know as freedom. Now, it seems very fitting to be discussing this topic considering it seems to have been put in the spotlight a lot in the last sort of 18 months, depending on obviously which nation you reside in, and which you'd say like parts of society as well, in which you often associate yourself in. And I guess I was feeling it was really important to talk about freedom because I often see it being used in many different ways. And this is not to say that one way is better than another. However, it's just to sort of add, I guess, some more spices to it, or to actually minimize some spices to it. Which way you want to look at it, whether it seems to be more complex or seems to be more simple to you, depending on where you're coming from. And, I guess, obviously encourage you to assess how you use the term freedom and what do you associate with the term freedom. Now, I guess I see it more as a being. It's an energy, it's a vibration, it's not just an identity. Freedom, I guess to some, it's indifferent to identity, and sometimes it can kind of get interwoven. Freedom can be interwoven into someone's kind of identity, and I can understand that. Sometimes when we're dropping an identity, or the ego, or whatever you want to call it, will then try to, I guess, attach to another identity or another one, and that can just continue on throughout one's lifetime, or just hold on to one identity and try and keep that throughout the whole lifetime, obviously. And that's not to say that that it's necessarily a bad thing, or to judge oneself when they're noticing that they're doing that, and especially not when someone else is doing that. But it's just to be aware of it, right? Because when you get into that sort of self-judgment and judgment of others, that's a whole other lot of unpacking that obviously needs to be done. So I guess the way I see freedom, this is just notation, it's just me sharing at this point in time, is it, from what I can feel and see, is it's a fluidity within the soul. So the ability to obviously wear one hat loosely and another hat loosely. And it's also like an inner power to exercise choice and make decisions without constraint. And I guess within a lot of modern society, depending on which sort of nations you reside in, there'll probably be a lot of overemphasis on the material constraints, the more physical, supposed external from your 3D kind of avatar which you reside in, right? So, those can be very important. I'm not here to dismiss that, but there's also the one's own internal restraints, obviously, as well, that one has to be aware of and put into perspective. This freedom doesn't necessarily come from something external to yourself. It's something which resides within you. You can have 10 people living in the same situation, and then they can each decide on how they wish to see that situation, and that can obviously vary a lot within a particular scale. And you'll often find when one's residing in their own sort of freedom, without this sort of external constraint or internal constraints, they may appear to be in a different kind of vibration. There may be someone who is very stuck in their material and or internal supposed restraints that they have. Yeah, and there's also, I guess, something to add is, you don't want to go too far with this, and the fact that you're just spiraling out of control either, because, as some of you are aware, within, the game, the film, however you like to see life, it's currently it kind of resides in a very much a lot of polarities, and obviously there's dualities and stuff as well. But with that polarity, you can swing quite far one way and quite far another way. So obviously finding that balance in the center can be um, essential. So I guess another thing I wanted to touch on is that I often see the word freedom being used or misinterpreted as the same as the word sovereign and vice versa. And I just thought it'd be good to mention that they are not necessarily meaning the same thing. However, obviously they can both coincide and coexist together. So yeah, just being, I guess, more self-aware of your term of freedom when you're using that, but also aware of that when you are pondering on that yourself and discussing that with your peers. What is actual true freedom? It's beyond what we might consider in modern society as an identity, and obviously it's beyond the material sort of supposed circumstances in which we find ourselves in. We can get very easily wrapped up in the supposed restraints of the supposed powers that be, but they cannot really control or impose on your internal freedom. That's something that only you have the power, really, to either give that away or to maintain as your own. But it's not necessarily only yours, because when you obviously maintain your own inner power, you also then are able to reflect that out to those around you and encourage them to maintain their own inner power, their own inner freedom. And then again, this is also not to say that power and freedom are the same thing. It's just another way of, I guess, describing what it is that I'd like to communicate in this vlog. So yeah, curious to know what your thoughts and feelings are on the term of freedom. How do you see that within yourself? How do you see that within your community? How do you like to use the term? Do you feel like it's serving you in the way that you normally use the term freedom? Are you over attaching yourself to it? Are you not even aware that that is something that you can even have within yourself? So yeah, leave those comments and questions down below in the comment section. You can also find me on various other social media platforms, which the links are always left in the description box if you're watching this via their YouTube. So yeah, I will see you in the next vlog.